Hello and welcome to my storybook cottage, and thank you so much for joining me again. I think it was episode 8 or anyway, an earlier episode about magic in the mountains when I mentioned Katoomba's Winter Magic Festival. Now, for years and years and years, that festival involved blocking off the main street and lining it with stalls and then having a big parade up it. Mostly involving community groups, but also involving lots and lots of just ordinary people who dressed up in these fantastical costumes, so that there were lots of witches and fairies and steampunk and things like that. Now, all of that stopped during the pandemic, and then it sort of kind of came back. Like last year there was a parade and there was stalls and it was great, but this year apparently there wasn't money for a parade or for stalls or for anything like that. Even so, it was still a very, very mountains experience, with people still dressing up and magical shop window displays and lots of dancing. And an area near the skate park where graffiti artists were encouraged to display their talents. All part of that vaguely artsy, alternative, organic atmosphere that isn't far from the surface in the upper mountains. But this year, what the Winter Magic Festival was mostly about was music, which isn't to say that there isn't a lot of music in the mountains normally. Every year Katoomba hosts the Blue Mountains Music Festival, which I might try to visit next time and film for you. Then there's the Blue Mountains Ukulele Festival, which I've mentioned before in another episode. And there are live music venues like the Bootlegger Bar and the Carrington Hotel and the Carrington Hotel Baroque Room, which holds a lot of live music. And the Clarendon Hotel used to have a fabulous little stage inside, but unfortunately the new owners have ripped that all out, so that's gone. The glory days of the Girron Hotel are probably behind it when it comes to live music, but they do have some performances here live, and there were some during the festival, as well as other performances at the nearby Family Hotel. Katoomba has a music shop for instruments and so forth. There's also an amazing record shop called the Velvet Fog, which is like something out of Nick Hornby's book High Fidelity, which you should definitely read if you haven't. And the Velvet Fog was also one of the live music venues at the Winter Magic Festival this year.
If you want me to, to the heavenly sea. Close. That's the way that it is. Oh, there was a time when you and I were free, when you laid me down to rest, leave a pistol in my vest. That's the way that it goes. That's the way that it goes. Everybody's buying little baby clothes.
And in the local Uniting Church Hall, there was a very international program of music called Get Folked.
Εγώ θα σου
στο γυαλό, άστρο με σουπούρι και βασιλικό. Βάρκα στο γυαλό, βάρκα στο γυαλό, άστρο με σουπούρι και βασιλικό.
And there was a program of drumming performances that really brought out the full spirit of the Blue Mountains in all its alternative glory. Bringing up music in the mountains is that I use music a lot when I write, and I'm not the only one. I happen to be co-writing something with a friend of mine, and she always creates a playlist when she writes her books, as do I, because for instance with this book, Pagan's Crusade, I actually first saw Pagan as a character in my head when I was listening to a song called Sign of the Times by Prince. I first began to think of the story for this book, The Gentleman's Garden, when I was listening to a song by a band called Great Big Sea, which is a Newfoundland band, and the song is called Captain Wedderburn. Great Big Sea is famous for its covers of traditional songs, and Captain Wedderburn is a really old-fashioned love song about a romance between a servant and a lady. And of course, this book is about a romance between a colonial convict and an officer's wife. A very unusual pursuit, which is also called How to Catch a Bogle in America, is all about kids running around Victorian London trying to catch monsters. And when I was writing it, I listened to a lot of Coldplay. There's a song called Cemeteries of London, which perfectly encapsulates the atmosphere I was looking for. And also when I was writing the protagonist, Birdie, to get her upbeat, courageous character, I listened to a lot of Viva La Vida. With the Reformed Vampire Support Group, which is all about a bunch of vampires living a really sickly, constricted nighttime life, I listened to Powderfinger's My Kind of Scene, which beautifully conveys the feeling of looking out a car window at night at people in the street who are having fun and you can't go out and join them. Now, I'm sorry I can't play you any of that music because of copyright reasons, but you can always go away and check it out yourself, maybe even on YouTube, and then you can just see what I'm talking about. The fact is, music is a very, very powerful creative force, and it helps a lot of us to visualize imaginary places and people and events. So it's an incredibly important tool for fiction writers. And that's why I'm extremely pleased to be living in a place where live music is still supported. Though I have to admit, the Blue Mountains isn't exactly Nashville, however. But anyway, it's a nice place to listen to music, and I guess until next time, happy listening.